Well, hello. Thank you for joining me today. It's good to see everyone. So I am pumped because I think that there's some good things brewing. I'm going to share a little bit more in a moment on that. And I'm curious, where are you tuning in from today? Would love to know where you're at from around the country. Always so neat to work with so many great agents across the U.S. So where are you at? I would love to know. Just drop it in the chat. I did open up the chat so you can chat amongst ourselves. You can chat with me, with everyone else. So feel free to do that. We've got Elon. Hi, how are you? Elon, I've been seeing your name coming up on these calls for a long time. So always great to have you from Loma Linda, California. And you're doing great, or you're doing fine. Okay, good. Glad you're doing fine. Hi, Penny. Good to see you from Albuquerque. How is Albuquerque? How are things there? Hopefully all is going just very well. We've got Greg from Kentucky. Awesome. Mark from Upland, California. Hi. Hello to you too. So thanks for being here with me today. I think that there is some good news happening in the housing market. I'm going to share a little bit more about that. Also, I want to talk today about a strategy that you have exclusively through Zoodealio that I really believe is underutilized. And so I want to spend a little bit of time focusing on that. Let me share my screen here and kick us off. I'm going to go pretty fast today. If you have questions or want to stop me or want to dig deeper into something, throw it in the chat. I'll be checking that periodically and we can absolutely do so. So I know that, often we show you our home report. We show you the cool tools to really where you can really digitally farm and level up your business. And before we kind of dive in, I want to hit on that because something happened in Facebook recently. And if you have been posting maybe links to, let's say you have a sync site and you share a link on Facebook to a property on sync or something like that, what was happening is Facebook went and they removed all of these third-party links. And often us as realtors use these links to lead generate, share into Facebook groups, share listings, share, maybe bundles of listings like 3-bedroom, 2-bath with pools. But Facebook is removing all of those third-party links. And it got me thinking. What it got me thinking about is how we often rely heavily on these, social media sites like Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And I know that a lot of us are generating great leads and really, working our sphere and bringing other people into our fold by using these social media sites. But the reality is just like what Facebook did when they took out all of the links, is it really reinforces what we all know to be true. And that is, in order for us to have a sustainable, impactful, long-term business, we need to be in control of our data. We need to be in control of how we display that data to the consumer. And what I'm getting at here is now more than ever is our time where we need to be investing in building our own list, building our database, building our, email list, if you will. And I really believe that that is the key to your long-term success in, today and tomorrow's digital age. And so we talk a lot about digital farming here as far as using the home report to really do that impactfully. And I just want to reiterate, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that today. But I wanted to bring it up because it's fresh. I'm seeing the posts. I'm seeing that realtors are frustrated that their links have been removed, their posts have been taken down. And I really believe the only way to combat that is for us to remain in control of that list of individuals, have that email list, be deploying against it frequently. If you're not using the home report, you really got to check it out. It is a game changer. What we know is when it comes time to selling a home, a seller often will start with a cash offer. They're often going to look at what is that number, what is that easy exit. But what we also know is that there's an incubation period, and oftentimes it can be 6, 12, 18 months. And during that time frame, they're continually reevaluating their different options, the cash offer being one, of course. And so the reason why I think the home report is really so impactful is it keeps those value propositions in front of that homeowner again and again and again. Now, of course, you can do that on your own. We have a really cool launch campaign that's been extremely effective. It's been running for years across contacts all over the US from our different members, and a ton of success has been had with the launch campaign. You can find that in your Zoodealio backend under the marketing tab. So you can take a look at that if you're not in a position to invest in adding the home report. Take a look at the launch campaign, because the tools and the resources are here for you. If you're a little bit of a DIYer and you can get your hands dirty and you can implement that into your CRM, that could be the way to go. But the bottom line is we do need to be in control of our people, of our list, and not leave it to these other sites that can completely derail us. And there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. So I found that to be pretty interesting. But the good news in the housing market is maybe buyers are finally accepting their fate in the housing market. Maybe they're finally accepting interest rates with a 6 handle, and maybe not relying so much on the thought that rates will go down. We also know that Housing Wire just released this article, and it was pretty good, and it kind of tracks what we're seeing in the data. And what Housing Wire said is that lenders they witnessed a surge of mortgage demand this week. And this came out May 9th, so that would have been Friday. So last week, surge of mortgage demand. It tracks also what we saw from the purchase mortgage applications. They are up 11% on the last reported week. So buyers perhaps are finally coming out and saying, okay, we understand rates are where they're at. Okay, maybe we understand that, prices are where they're at, and they're getting in on the game. So now more than ever, we need to be building our listing inventory because, as the saying goes, he who lists last. It's the best way to leverage your time and your energy is through listings. And so I want to focus today on what we can do specifically to help sellers to really bring them a compelling value proposition that not only excites them and gets them interested in what you have to offer, but truly can increase and impact their bottom line. Before I do that, I'm going to show the top 10 cash offer markets. It's always really fun to track these. We're tracking these week over week. Number 1 last week was Huntsville, Alabama. So a little bit of surge there. We had Las Vegas, which is continually in the top, but it was bumped down to number 2. And then you can see from there, we've got Atlanta, Baltimore, Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville. A lot of Florida on this list. Denver, Phoenix, and Charlotte. What surprised me was Baltimore. So to see Baltimore kind of come into play here was surprising for me. We are working with buyers in Baltimore that are purchasing homes through the Zoodealio platform, so that's really cool to see. And also what we know is that often Zoodealio gets in the hands of some really high-powered teams, brokerages, and you guys just do really neat things with it, and so perhaps that's why as well. But in any event, here are the top 10 cash offer markets for the week ending Friday. Okay, I've got a couple questions. Let me see here. Greg has some questions on the buy box. So we seem to have a great buy box, but wondering what they won't offer on. For instance, 2 things that come to mind are manufactured homes. Correct. And I also have a seller wanting an offer for his home that had about 2 feet of water in it from the recent flooding rains. Otherwise, it's a nice brick ranch on a corner lot. Okay, so I always say just submit the property and let the buyers decide if it's something that they're wanting to offer or pass on. So you can always submit it and see what they say. Manufactured homes tend to be very challenging. Sometimes we can pull one through, but more often than not, it's a pass. On homes that maybe have water standing in them from a recent flood, that is again a situation where I would submit it, because the buyers do many homes that have had damage. I know in Florida with the hurricanes, they definitely purchased homes after that needed a lot of work. So I would absolutely submit it. And I'm going to touch on this today too, Greg, because the reality is that we have programs specifically for this, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So what I know is that when it comes to selling their home, sellers want to know from you as the agent, they want you to help them. They want to know how they can fix up their home and sell it for more. I pulled this out of last year's NAR's Generational Trends report. This was published in early January, so it was 2024 data, but still very current. And 14% of all sellers said that what was important to them, from their real estate agent, was that they wanted help to find ways to fix up the home and sell it for more. And interesting, look at the number one is help to sell the home within a specific time frame. So we still know that time matching equation is extremely important to sellers. We knew when the market was so hot that it was important, because if they didn't find their next home and they listed their current home, they'd be homeless. But what's remained true though is they still are operating on a time frame, and they want you to help them hit that time frame. And that's also one of the reasons why I love our cash offers, because when you're showing up to a listing appointment and you're bringing these different options and you're saying hey, here's the cash offer. Here is a cash offer that we can do upgrades to your home, and you can potentially benefit from those and strategically increase the value of your home and get all of that upside. Or, we can bring your home to market and we can list it and expose it to all of the buyers, which option works for you. And oh, by the way, if you're leaning towards listing your home on the market, keep in mind that we can always have one of these cash offers to fall back on if the home doesn't sell in the time frame that you were hoping that it would. And I think that that's a really powerful tool for us. We get to use this cash offer as a hedge against the open market. And what we know to be true is that when it comes to listing their home, often they underestimate what that is going to feel like for them. They often underestimate, what it's going to be like to pack up the kids and the pets and get the home show ready. And so after doing that for a bit, they may be more inclined to revisit a different option. And so it's really cool that these options don't expire on you once you list the home. But that's number one, is that time matching equation. And we solve that. Help price the home competitively. This is also a really cool finding, because 21% of all sellers wanted help pricing the home competitively. I cannot think of a better way to show a seller, what the market is bearing, other than what a buyer is willing to pay. And when you're showing up with the offers, for instance, the Cash Plus offer, the Cash Plus with Repair offer, the Sell Now Move Later offer, all of those are designed to be market value offers. And so you are going to get help from a third-party buyer. Also, if you've worked with Zoodealio, you know that when you finalize an offer and when that final offer is returned, you will get a screenshot of the underwriter's analysis. So you're also going to see all of the different comps that they used, the adjustments that they made, the deviations that were taken, and it's going to give you more tools and insight for that homeowner in their decision-making process. So pretty cool. Look at that. Look at the next one. Help seller market home to potential buyers. You're showing up with buyers already. If we can't take listings having this competitive edge, then we should be rethinking real estate, because it truly is so easy. I just think of how cool when we get to walk into a listing appointment and you got all your other great stuff that you do for sellers when you list their home, and then you've also already bringing them offers, you're bringing them buyers. So pretty darn cool. But surprising though, that one of the top things, and the percentages, they're 22 for the first, 21, 20, 14. That's pretty, high up there. 14% want to find ways to fix up the home to sell it for more. So we're thinking, renovation, pre-listing renovation strategies here. And when it comes to the pre-listing renovation strategies, the Cash Plus with Repairs, I believe, is one of the best products on the market for this. And the reason why is because if you've ever remodeled a home or updated a home while you live in it, you know that it is a terrible experience. It is not fun. It is absolutely a disruption of your life. And when it comes to selling your home, that is already a huge disruption. And so in addition to that, if you're also having to upgrade or enhance or refresh your home, whatever it needs, you can see why it's going to add a lot of stress to that seller to do so. And so the cash plus offer with repairs is so cool because it allows them to get out. They get their first check and they can move out of the home before that happens. You know, my husband and I, we often talk about how if we were going to sell right now, we would absolutely do the cash plus with repairs because we have 2 teenagers, actually 1 teenager. My oldest just turned 20. So we have kids, we have pets, we have life happening. And if we were going to sell right now, we know that if we were out of that house and if we could throw a fresh coat of paint on the walls and maybe do a couple other things to spruce it up, it would sell for so much more money. And so I guess I just want to inspire us to get out there and share what we have at our disposal. Because the reality is not all agents are working from this playbook. And this playbook, I believe, gives you the advanced strategies to really take out the competition and get your unfair share of the market. So sellers understand that condition matters. And we have a saying in today's market, and you've probably heard this before, that selling your home, it's either you got to win the beauty contest or you got to win the pricing war. And so what does that look like when it actually comes time to sell your home and put your home on the market? And I think that that's why the Cash Plus with repairs is so impactful, is because it will allow you to win that beauty contest. There is more inventory on the market. Buyers hopefully are signaling a comeback, and so we're going to have more buyers coming into the market. Maybe we have a little bit of a late spring selling season. Maybe it's the early summer selling season. But what we know is that the homes that look good are going to be the ones that sell over the ones that don't look good. And the ones that don't look good, investors right now want such a steep discount in order to take down that home and in order to make the repairs and upgrades that are necessary. This is so fun. This is just like so random, a little random fact. Did you guys see, I don't know if you're following the news cycle, but we had a new pope that was appointed, and the pope was from the U.S. And what I learned is that his childhood home was in Illinois, and I guess about a year ago, it was listed on the market, and a fixer-flipper purchased that home for $60,000. Has since made a ton of repairs and renovations, and now that the Pope is appointed, they're considering maybe turning the home into a museum or doing something different with it. But just like another little fun fact, and I thought that was really interesting that it happened to be a home that was purchased by a flipper a year ago, and they went in and made a bunch of repairs and renovations. But anyway, fun little story, totally got sidetracked, but I heard that this morning and thought it was super cute. All right, so how do we help position sellers to truly win that beauty contest, to bring a beautiful home to market that is going to surprise and delight the market, versus, them just listing it as it is? So, all right, I got a couple other questions here. Hi, Joel. Glad to have you. If a property is already listed with another agent and has been on the market for 159 days, can I still make a cash offer to the seller using the Zoodealio platform? And how would that process work? And what would the ideal solution be for this specific situation? Okay, so the short answer is yes, you can bring them an offer from Zoodealio. I will tell you that we've had agents do this successfully, and the successful way to do this is to follow up the offer with a phone call. So you could share the dashboard link with the listing agent. You could let the listing agent know that, here are some different offers that are available to your seller. You would then represent the buyer on that transaction if the listing agent presented those offers to the seller and one of those offers worked out. So you would represent the buyer in that transaction. I will say, though, that it requires a lot of education. So as you can imagine, remember when you first joined Zoodealio and you're going, okay, cool, cash offers, on demand, okay, different cash offers, structured a little bit differently. Okay, there's this one with repairs, and you had to invest some time and you had to learn about it, right? And so there's a little bit of a learning curve, especially to listing agents that have a listing. Sometimes they dismiss these sort of things and just think it's a scam. And so you do have to follow it up with, I would say a phone call, a conversation, letting that listing agent know how the offer works, maybe uncovering that seller's motivation. If a home is sitting on the market, especially if it needs repairs, I'm going to show you one in a minute where this was the exact scenario. And in fact, Joel, it's almost like you knew what I'm about to share, but you don't, but it's almost like you did, because this was the exact same scenario. So this next property that I'm going to show us, it came through the Zoodealio platform and it was already listed on the market with a different agent, and a Zoodealio member saw the house, saw that it was sitting on the market, knew that it could really benefit from strategic repairs and renovations, and brought the offer to that listing agent. So it ended up working out to be a great scenario. But you're going to have to invest some time into teaching that listing agent how the offer works and explaining to them, exactly how that would work. So, and then ultimately, if it did work out and if their seller accepted the offer that you brought them, when that home would be resold, you would be the agent for it at that time. All right, so how do we help them win the beauty contest? It's really through the strategy of the Cash Plus with repairs. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to show us one. Here was one that was recently completed in Palm Desert, California. And this one was pretty bad. And I'm told that the photos don't really do it justice to truly how bad it was. But just front of the house, it has a ton of trash. Just looks, terrible. This was on the market, guys. This was on the market. And so if you can imagine, in today's climate, with a little bit more inventory, with rates high, with prices high, it was not selling. And so, the listing agent was brought a Zoodealio offer from another Zoodealio member, and it ended up working out because this house absolutely needed strategic repairs. So a lot was done to the home. After, it just ended up looking so wonderful, so fresh, just so new. Updated, it just absolutely it shines after. Before, it was so tired and worn out. And the interior it's definitely interesting. I don't see homes like this often. There was a lot of DIY work that had happened inside this home. You can see from all of that ceiling work, which I'm told when it was removed, all of the drywall everywhere had to be removed. It was actually pretty terrible. But people walking through this house are probably thinking to themselves, oh my goodness, I would have to do so much work, right? I mean, we know buyers give us objections when they don't like the ceiling fans. Like, can you imagine you're touring this home with a buyer and you're seeing all of this stuff, and everything that they look at is just starting to feel very heavy and overwhelming, and they're probably not gonna pick this property. So just a definitely interesting one. But after, it just looked so great. It's just like modern and light and bright, and we brought it back in today's time frame. So it just looked amazing after it was done. Again, just night and day difference from this to this, right? One more time, this to this. I love it. I get so excited when I see this. Okay, kitchen before, again, and I'm told that the pictures don't really show how bad it was. Like, do we catfish with our pictures or with our MLS photos? I think we do. I definitely think we do. I mean, we've all been in the house where we're like, that is not what it looked like online. This cannot be the same house. Or, online it just presents a little bit better. Or maybe they're showing an angle. Anyway, a little bit of catfishing going on. But this was the before. Here was the after. Again, just a night and day difference. It looks just clean and modern and fresh and ready to go, and you can just move right on in and you're excited about it. Again, before, after, I mean, the photos just speak for themselves on this one. Here is the living slash, dining area. A lot going on here. I'm also told that these stairs were completely dilapidated, falling apart. It was just a mess. And again, this house was on the market. This was on the market. Like, they're trying to sell this on the market. And some people have to, right? And like that's the reality. Is like sometimes they have no other choice. And for those folks especially, you have a different option for them. You can truly come in and change the trajectory of their lives with this new improved offer structure. There was after. Night and day difference. Absolutely incredible. Walking through with your buyers here versus walking through with your buyers here. I think we all know what side of the equation we want. And even like having this listing. Totally different. Okay, so I'm gonna just burn through these. So here was another before of the bathroom, lots of DIY paneling, just very interesting stuff going on. I'll leave it at that, interesting. And here was after, so just fresh, clean, modern, updated. Bright walls, after neutralized, looks good. Backyard just kind of tired, needed a little work, needed a little refresh, and then after does just that. So we can see that houses that are renovated and repairs just present so much better to the marketplace, and we know that. So if you're a seller and you're considering selling your home and your home needs a little bit of work, and maybe you're a little cash strapped, and maybe you do kind of like the idea of having that cash offer where you can get your first payout, where you can move out, where you can move on with your life. And by the way, when the buyer purchases the home from them, it ends the interim ownership costs of that home. So they're no longer having to make their mortgage payment. They're no longer responsible for property taxes. They're no longer responsible for HOA. They're no longer responsible for the utilities. So there's a lot of costs that the buyer will step in and pick up and start to take care of that the seller no longer has to account for. And so I think that having this strategy in your arsenal is so important. How do you get the Cash Plus with Repairs offer? Super easy. So anytime that you request cash offers through Zoodealio, you're likely going to be returned the Cash Plus with Repair option. And essentially, the offer structure works very much like the Cash Plus with Repairs. It's a structured payout, so that homeowner gets paid out on the first payout at anywhere from 60 to 75% of market value, depending on the property, depending on the risks that the property presents to the marketplace. And then what happens is, if there's strategic repairs and renovations that take place, seller moves out, buyer comes in, makes those repairs and renovations, and then once that home is ready, you list the home on the open market. So then you list the home, it sells on the open market, and then based on whatever it sells for, the disbursement is made back to that original seller for all of that extra upside proceed. So it's truly a way for a seller to get a full market value cash offer. They only pay a fee, and when we do repairs, there's the ability for them to really enhance that resale potential of the property. And in some cases, like it was with this one, this house wasn't selling. It was not selling in its current condition. And so for this situation, it was the difference between the house is going to sell or the house isn't going to sell. And if it was going to sell, it was going to sell at such a steep discount that it would have been really sad. And the agent was able to bring a neat, cool solution. And really, I think, they really were a market maker. I think of, when I think of all of the real estate transactions that are taking place, and we know that we're on track for a really low year again, unfortunately. But I think that NAR's latest was about 4.02 million home sales. It was their seasonally adjusted prediction. Last year, it was just above that. And so we know that the folks that are moving are, they're the folks that have to move. It's the 5Ds. It's the divorce, death, diapers, downsizers, and debt, right? It's those folks that are truly moving right now. And so when we think about how low home sales are, and you have a solution that can cause a home to sell versus not sell, you're a market maker. You are truly a game changer. And so I love that. I love that we have this option available for us. It gives us a lot of ammo. It puts us in a truly advisory position. It helps us navigate the repairs and renovations conversation, right? If like, you know that the home needs some work and it would really enhance the value if it had the work, this gives you the opportunity to bring it up. And not only are you bringing it up, but you have a solution. In the past, it's like, you bring up the home needs some work, and then it's like, do you have the cash to do it? And the seller's like, well, no, I don't, because how many folks are, equity rich and cash poor? Lots, right? There's a lot of folks that have a lot of equity, but not a lot of cash. And unfortunately, a lot of people have more month than they have money. And so you can come in with an option for them that can really be life-changing. So I see some comments here. Let's see. Okay, so some emails. Oh, very cool. Okay, I love what's happening in the chat here. So Krista, I love it, Krista. And that message you sent, Krista, though, it only went to the host and panelists, so only went to me. So I don't know that they saw that. Could your team prepare a one-page case study about this property? Yes. Okay, so absolutely. And we did a revamp of our Zoodealio.com site. As a lot of folks know, we launched a lead program. It's our Seller Source lead program. And in conjunction with that, we've also launched a national ad campaign where we're driving traffic to agents across the US. And so we're running ads for cash offers. So a revamp of our Zoodealio.com page was done. There are case studies on it. If you go to the very bottom and you click the capital section, you can see some of these case studies. And we can absolutely work on preparing like a one pager for this. It is good to have a visual. I totally get that. Also, just want to remind you that those visuals exist within your platform. So let me pull it up and show you real quick, just to make sure we're all aware, because we do have case studies already available for you. And I'm going to just pop into my Zoodealio platform and show you right quick. I believe, Krista, in the chat, you're like gathering emails and sending over stuff. And I love, Kim, you say you have a Cash Plus with repairs going on right now. I love it. What market are you in, Kim? Throw it in the chat. I'm super interested, and I will definitely want to track that. And if you've had a Cash Plus with repairs and you want to come on and you want to talk about what that experience was like, I would invite you to do so. I would gladly have you on any of my Monday calls if you want to do something separately and talk about it, just to kind of give that peer review of what that process was like. When it comes time to actually doing this, what we know is we want an idea of what that experience is going to be like for the seller, for us, all of the things. And so if you are interested in talking about that with me on this format or a different format, I would love that as well. All right, so I'm going to come into, we'll go into a client profile here. I'm going to look at Taylor Swift's, and I'm going to go to her offer dashboard. And so this is just, the seller view of all of the offers. And keep in mind, this is shareable. So I believe when I was talking earlier, I think it was Joel who asked the question of, how could I present offers to a listing agent? You could just share this dashboard with them, and that would do it. Okay, so if you go into the Cash Plus with repairs and click the View Offer Details button, we have some different case studies already lined up here that just kind of show what happened with the home and gives a before and after, gives the financial breakdown, shows just different, the different scenes. I think that when a house is on the market and it's not selling due to condition, this is the game changer. Let's see, we've got a couple examples in here, so you can come in here and play around with this and all that fun stuff. So just wanted to let you know that it is available for you as a resource already. And then we can I can let my team know that, there's demand for maybe having some sort of PDF document that breaks this down and shows this as well. All right, let me get back into that chat, see if there's anything else in here. I love it. Okay, Greg, that strategy is so impactful. So impactful. I love it. Okay, cool. You'll have to let us know how it goes. Let's see. Hi, Grace. Good to see you on today. And Krista, I would love to see the mailer you created too. That would be awesome. If you're sending it out, I'm going to throw my email in the chat. It's just my first name, but I'd love to see it too. And if you would be okay with it, maybe I can share it on a future call. Oh, okay, cool, Kim. You're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and this one's in Arlington. Okay, awesome. Well, super cool. I'm glad to see that we're already having success with this strategy. Just one other thing that I wanted to leave us with is I think that video is so important, and if you know me, you know that I've been an avid video user for many years, and I think that sharing about this program through video would be super impactful. And so I created just a real quick video script where you can record just easy, just like a selfie style video, right? Like just go like this and just talk right to that camera and just push that little record button, and don't overthink it, don't overscript it, but just send something out. Use that video to spread awareness about what you can offer that other realtors can't. And so I want to leave us with a quick little script that you can record today. It would take you less than 2 or 3 minutes, depending on how many times you redo it. And it's a simple script, and it's so easy, guys. Like, here's how it would go. In today's real estate market, to sell your home, you got to win the beauty contest or the pricing war. But if your home isn't picture perfect, your only option is to drop the price and lose out on equity. And that sucks. And so that's why we created the Cash Plus with Repairs. We handle the upgrades with no out-of-pocket costs to you, so your home shines and sells for top dollar. Don't settle for less. DM me Cash Plus to see how much value we can unlock in your home today. Something simple. This is so simple. We could all make this video and send it out. We could post it. We could send it out through our CRM. If you prefer text messaging, you could just use this as a text script to send out. But the bottom line is we gotta spread awareness about the tools that we have at our disposal, because not everyone does. And I really believe that you have an unfair advantage by being able to offer the different cash offers and products like the Cash Plus with Repairs. So I wanted to kind of share a little bit about that today. Thank you all for being here with me. I love all of the connectivity happening in the chat. Would love to see your mailer, Krista. Kim, excited to track your Cash Plus in Texas. Thank you all for being here. It was great to see you. It was nice to have you, Greg and Elon and Joel and Grace and Penny. Thank you all. And I will be back with you in a couple weeks. So have a fantastic week, everyone.